Welcome back to the Ross Bolen podcast. I am Ross Bolen, here as per usual with the man they call J-Bone. Jared, how are you?
I'm happy. I'm horny. I'm J-Bone.
Okay. Yeah, it's a toasty day, over 80 degrees here in Austin, and as a result, Jared has made the early and audacious switch back to shorts. So you've got some thigh out for me today. Which has got me a little horny as well. Show me that thigh, J-Bone, you salacious little minx.
This is a vestige of my time spent in Wisconsin where in the middle of winter, maybe there would be a day where we get above 30. Yeah. And that's when all the Wisconsin people go, look at me, I'm from Wisconsin, I'm wearing shorts.
See, for all of you that have normal legs, and I'm doing air quotes around normal, spring and summer are welcomed seasons where you can show off your stems and gallivant around town comfortably in clothing that ends before the knee. Comfortable and classy. Must be nice. I hold off on the switch to shorts for as long as humanly possible because I'm 6'2" and my legs make up 78% of my body and they are akin to a flamingo's. So I switch to shorts and people get scared. Like they think I'm malnourished or have an eating disorder. When my legs are out, I mostly get looks of confusion and concern. And then, if we're at like a swimming pool and I have to take my shirt off, which I guess I don't have to. I could swim with my shirt on in the pool, but...
Have you ever been a swim shirt guy?
Nah, unfortunately, during the Bill Chungus phase of my life when that would have been appropriate, I wasn't at the swimming pool very much. But if I go to the pool now and I take off my shirt, there's even more confusion when my little boy nipples come out, but my chest is otherwise covered in hair. And then I've got the stork stems coming out from my waist, and it's a mess, dude. I've literally heard someone behind me in Chipotle ask, are those real? And they were not talking about my boobs. Like they thought I might have lost my legs in Vietnam and been rich enough to score some Lieutenant Dan legs, but with a poorly applied layer of fake skin over them to seem like authentic human legs.
Yeah, you kind of look like a human torso on stilts.
Yeah, my legs are one of those things you hear about. Like people tell you, Ross has serious chicken legs, but then you see them in person and you're still taken aback. Like, oh my God, like, is he okay? Like, is he going to topple over?
Yeah, there's a Photoshop that was done where it was the day I started working here at the company. And somebody took a picture of you and I and photoshopped a chicken's body with your legs as the chicken's legs.
Yeah.
It just looked like a picture of a chicken.
It just looks like you're shaking hands with a chicken out front of Bolen Media HQ. It's concerning. Like, at least people with prostheses?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Have a story to tell. I'm just like, yep, these are them. They're disturbingly skinny. And I dedicate a whole month to chicken legs on my podcast every year so people with legs like mine can feel better about ourselves.
When is Chicken Leg Appreciation Month?
I think it's August, but whoever I'm talking to usually just backs away slowly.
Uh-huh.
And really, in reality, like when I think about it, this podcast's entire purpose is to raise my own self-esteem or raise awareness about an issue I deal with or make myself feel better by making fun of other people. That's all comedy, though, I guess.
Everything you just said is what everybody on every podcast does.
Is that all comedy, just in general, though?
Mm-hmm. It's one of those three things, or all three at once sometimes.
Huh. Anyway.
By the way, something I've always wondered about you with your chicken legs.
Yeah.
If you put on, like, bootcut Wranglers, would that be is that the equivalent to me putting on Jinkos? In terms of how big the bottom is compared to how wide the calf is?
I mean, I compare, like, when I wear pants, it's like almost the push-up bra for me. Like, everything just looks a little bit more proportionate and better than it would otherwise. So when I wear, like, bootcut pants, I feel like I'm cheating. Like, it's a misrepresentation of what's happening in reality. Like, the amount of air and space in those boot cuts is just ridiculous.
That's what I was thinking about. Because, like, if I put on a pair of Jinkos, like the really wide ones you wear while listening to Slipknot?
Megadeth.
Whatever.
Slipknot, yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's how much air would be around yours, but because
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's accurate. Like, regular Wranglers, for me, feel like Janko jeans would on you.
You would have killed it in the 70s with bell bottoms. Bell bottom Bill.
Oh, man. Yeah, I kind of saw those trying to make a comeback again because it's been like 50 years or whatever, but I don't know that those will ever be cool again.
Well, girls wear them. Usually they're like plaid and they are really tight on the ass but really wide at the bottom.
And those look good. I'm here for that look. But the dudes that I've seen, like, I feel like Travis Scott pre-Astroworld disaster was making a push on like male bell bottoms, and it just died on the vine. I don't know, flamed out. It didn't happen.
Yeah. With bell bottoms, now all I can picture in my head, I'm like, every girl who ever goes to Coachella is wearing those bell bottom pants, a like crop top, a like knit crop top, star sunglasses, and has like face glitter on, and has her hair in like the Miley Cyrus giraffe tails, like the two little balls up top.
Some Molly dust in her nostril.
Molly dust in her nostrils.
Yeah. Hot. That's hot. Anyway, speaking of clothes, today's episode of RBP is brought to you by Indochino. Whether it's finding a signature color, wearing a more flattering cut, or getting a new statement piece, the right detail can take your wardrobe up a notch. This year, let Indochino take care of your 2022 style edit. You can customize everything, from suits and shorts to chinos and bomber jackets, at prices more affordable than you might expect. I can tell you personally, the Indochino experience is incredible. Whether you go to one of their showrooms and get measured up or do it from home, I have done both now. Went to the Indochino in Austin the first time through, but for my most recent order, I measured myself at home and checked out all their wares strictly online, and the end result is still the best custom clothing experience I've ever had. Indochino offers completely custom-fitted suits, shirts, casual wear, and more at surprisingly affordable prices, so you can get a wardrobe personalized to your style and taste without spending a fortune. Every piece is made to your exact measurements, and you can customize every detail. I mean, you can choose everything about your suit, including the fabric, the lapel, the monogram, the statement linings. You create a suit that fits you and your style perfectly. The best part, Indochino suit starts just at $429 and shirts from $79 with all customizations included. I just grabbed myself a new button down and slacks because I have some weddings to attend this year, and I am flat out not owning clothes that fit for events like that. So they couldn't have done better. It couldn't be a better fit. I couldn't be more excited to wear them. Give yourself a style edit that sets the tone for the rest of the year with Indochino. Get $50 off any purchase of $399 or more by using promo code RBP at Indochino.com. That's $50 off a purchase of $399 or more at Indochino.com. Promo code RBP. That's Indochino.com. Promo code RBP.
The best deal you can possibly get on a tailored suit in the world. Guaranteed.
Custom fitted, baby. Go now. Jared, I went to brunch, a record twice over the weekend. Once with a few listeners of the Ross Bolen podcast. Shouts to Avenger, Lady Midday, and Baby Legs. And then once with my lover. During the latter meal, I was in the Domain at Bakery Lorraine, I believe it's called. You ever been there?
No.
Oh, my God. Freaking phenomenal. But the food is not the point. When I was walking in, right in front of Bakery Lorraine were parked a McLaren and an Aston Martin, both brand new, bumper to bumper. The Aston Martin actually still had paper tags on it.
Those are both two Formula One teams, by the way. McLaren.
How about that? Shouts to Formula Bone. Now, a lot of the time when you see two cars parked out front like that, of a restaurant, it's the ownership, or it's like a friend of the ownership that they have park their really nice cars out front to make the place just seem even more fancy than it is or whatever. But right when I walked in, I spotted the two rich old dudes who very, very clearly owned these vehicles that were parked out front, these luxury sports vehicles. I think they count as sports vehicles. I don't know. Maybe there's a whole nother tier for the McLaren and the Aston Martin owners. But when I'm at a restaurant, I like to eavesdrop on the people around me. Like, I'm like Sookie in True Blood. It is not a choice. Like, I hear everything. And sometimes I'll key in on a conversation that is either interesting or confusing and try to figure out what exactly is going on here. So I end up sitting at a table over from these two gentlemen, like one table over. There's a table in between us. It's COVID. That's one table over. And they're two retired men, all right? Probably in their 60s, maybe mid-60s. Not married to each other, but to women who were not present. Both of them wearing rings, and they ended up talking about their wives, which is how I know. It was really just a cute little interracial friendship between an old white man and an old Asian man. And I don't know which one drove which car, if you're wondering. But I almost got the feeling like over the course of the few minutes of the conversation I was listening to at the beginning, that this was maybe the first time they'd ever met in person, okay? Like the older Asian gentleman had a very cool antique-looking camera for taking photographs, you know, with him, which I surmised from their conversation he had either just purchased from the other man or was trying to sell the other man or just show him maybe. They're like, I got the vibe like they met online in like some Facebook group or something, right? Maybe it was for people who own cars that cost over $250K. Maybe it was for dudes who love cameras. I don't really know. Maybe both.
I saw an old antique camera meetup on West 6th Street here in Austin like 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
I think this is a thing. It's like the iPhone is everyone's camera now. So now there's this like reversal in camera culture where people are trying to go back and collect these antique, badass analog cameras. Is that the word? I don't know.
Film?
But so at first I'm like, man, what an inspiring little friendship I'm watching be born here between these two luxury automobile owners and camera fans. Just two wealthy, successful retirees sharing cultured conversation around photography, and they're talking about like the history of cameras and giving each other updates on and info on their wives and children. Just a really magical little Sunday brunch. So I tune out for a few minutes, and when I tune back in, they have gone from cameras to their wives and children to OnlyFans anal sluts.
Well, okay.
And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck just happened here? So I tune back in, and the Asian dude starts explaining to Whitey that he's moving on to Twitch. He's like, yeah, no, Twitch cam girls, they can't get naked like the OnlyFans chicks do, but they do suck dildos. And I was just like, what is happening right now? Like, they know I'm right here. And like almost clearly paying attention somewhat to their conversation.
Well, you can't say the word dildos in a public place and expect people not to look. Like, even though dildos is not like necessarily a bad word, it's the kind of word that if you hear somebody go dildo, like you're gonna look.
And then you're gonna pay attention to that conversation for at least a few seconds to pick up on exactly what the nature of this dildo conversation is. But it was like, I mean, it really did jar me. Like, I almost had to tell my girlfriend, like, you gotta stop talking. You gotta stop talking. I am trying to listen to these old men talk about like Twitch live streaming hot chicks and OnlyFans anal queens, which is literally the topic they were on at one point. And
anal queens?
It was just bizarre. So at this point, I'm so aroused that I have no choice but to like stay seated and listen to more. And basically, what they were doing is just updating each other on where to best jack off online in 2022, which like isn't that strange of a conversation. But keep in mind, just 10 minutes earlier, they couldn't have been more like professional, cordial, business-like almost in their interaction. Like it'd be like if you met, you know, somebody at a fucking work conference, but then you got along really well. So you started talking cameras and cars, getting into your wives and kids. And then suddenly you just say, fuck it, and went for like the half-court shot of OnlyFans anal chicks and Twitch streaming babes.
Now I want to know what the hell pictures are on that camera.
Right? Yeah. So they're just making niceties, talking about their luxury sports vehicles and their fancy schmancy old man cameras and bird watching and their wives and shit. And now they're exchanging trade secrets about where to crank on the internet. And that is not like an uncommon update for dudes to make with their friends. But again, my read was that they had just met. But then I thought about it and I'm like, well, when you're like 65 and dating, for instance, things move at a completely different pace than they do when you're 20 at the bar trying to find friends or whatever the fuck. It's just a different world. You got to move quickly when you're 65 and dating. You skip all you know what you're looking for. You know exactly what questions to ask. You've seen enough of life and met enough different people to get a quick feel for exactly what you're dealing with. So that has to apply to friendships too for old people. And that's what I think I saw happen here. They got through the niceties and the normalcies and jumped right to the important shit, which is like, where do I jack in 2022 most successfully? And this one guy just had to inform the other that like, hey, just so you know, on Twitch, they can't get naked, but they can suck dildos.
They can. It's a new trend. Have you seen this?
Yeah, it's like... I was upset by even at Twitch at one point when all the hot streaming babes were doing the hot tub streams. You remember this? Mm-hmm. And that was like their loophole for basically they're always trying to find a way because dudes are horny and perverted, and we need something to entertain us in that sense. And they were finding loopholes to pull that off and make money. It's their job. It's literally what they're supposed to do, in some cases anyway. And not all Twitch streamers are meant to serve our sexual needs, but some of them very intentionally are. And as such, they were doing these hot tub streams, and then those got banned. And then the latest thing they found that they can get away with is they're calling them like ASMR streams, but it's really just a chick like slobbing a giant vibrator with a microphone right up against her mouth so that it sounds like someone's getting their D-est.
Yep.
And while that isn't unappealing to me, I don't like the idea of masturbating at the same time as a whole bunch of other people who are watching the exact same thing. Now, I realize that's happening anytime you watch porn, but this, I know it's happening, and I can see them in the chat, like reacting and stuff.
You don't like seeing the names of the other dudes masturbating?
No, that shit takes away all the magic. All the vibes are gone. So, like,
because you can no longer think like, oh, it's me and this girl alone in her room.
Right.
Now it's like a large bukkake situation.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know who's spraying where.
You don't know where you are in line.
Yes, I have no clue where I am in the finish line.
You're worried if you scratch your knee real quick, somebody might just fucking go off right then. And
exactly.
Your head's down. Okay.
So I can't really hang with the Twitch sexual streaming.
What if you just like press the little button that hides chat?
I just also don't understand if you're like, all right, I need something to help me achieve orgasm, and you're looking at the bevy of options online, and the one you pick is chicks fake S-ing D. When there's just hundreds of thousands of videos of actual D's being est. Why the fake version?
I think it's got to be some connection they have to the streamer, right? Okay. Maybe I'll be the guy who gets her naked one day, even though she doesn't do that and it's not allowed on Twitch, and I don't interact with her in any other way besides in Twitch chat.
Yeah, that's just some silly shit, though. That's like going to the strip club and believing what she says.
Which happens literally every day. All around the world.
Men are just not the smartest when it comes to, like, whatever that line is with sexual desire and actual logic. The sexual desire just overrides the logic, pummels it, smashes it into the ground.
It's better for our evolution. Well, not evolution. Better for the survival of our species if we're just so horny that we put logic aside in order to potentially get a nut.
And spray. That's all we want to do, you know? Mm-hmm. So anyway, it was a strange brunch in the end where I was like, I went in like, damn, those two cars are sick. I wonder if it's the ownership or it's these people. The two dudes are in there. It's very clearly them, and then they jump from like the cutest little old man conversation to whacking it, and I just didn't see it coming, so I was shook. It was really something. But all in all, again, I'm continuing my social streak. I'm spending time around other humans and hearing about the ways they're masturbating, which is a great little update for me.
Did you learn something?
No, I just learned that the old dudes are trying to figure out the internet in the same way dudes in my category are, which is like to say that we're always looking for the hottest porn possible. And that's really also at one point he was like, they went directly, like immediately, no fucking transition from, yeah, they can't get naked on Twitch, but they can suck dildos, to one of them being like, yeah, one of my kids is on Twitch, but just for gaming. And I was just like, oh my God, this is getting disturbing. So that was my brunch on Sunday.
What did you get to eat though?
A lot. I had eggs, bacon, a muffin.
What kind of muffin?
A giant blueberry muffin.
I love blueberry muffins.
Incredible, dude.
Blueberry muffins are so good.
What's your second muffin choice? I don't even have one. I'm a strictly blueberry guy. If they're out of the blueberry muffin, I'm out on the muffins.
Okay, so I'll always go blueberry muffin. However, I don't know why my brain says this to me. I think one of the greatest all-time snacks of any kind, this is not just muffin specific, one of the greatest all-time processed food, comes in a wrapper snacks, is the Otis Spunkmeyer double chocolate muffin.
Jesus Christ.
Otis Spunkmeyer is also my nickname in high school.
My muffin didn't come in plastic, just for the record. This was a gourmet muffin.
Have you ever had an Otis Spunkmeyer double chocolate muffin?
It's been a really long time since I've had an Otis Spunkmeyer anything, because Spunkmeyer is like the closest name to just like fill your mouth with cum that you could possibly have. Spunkmeyer.
They had to be fucking with us with that name, right?
Nah, man.
Otis Spunkmeyer?
1,000% that dude's real name. It just sounds like a porn name.
What's the deal with where do you think Otis Spunkmeyer is from?
The fact that there is not a prevalent male porn star who has adopted the last name Spunkmeyer is sad for the industry, really.
It is.
They're lacking in creativity.
The Otis Spunkmeyer story.
It's just nothing but step family porn and no Otis Spunkmeyer to be seen.
Okay, the guy who founded Otis Spunkmeyer's name is Ken Rawlings. The first store opened in 1977 in Oakland, California.
Where the hell did the name come from?
I don't know. They don't address that. Why would they not address that?
That doesn't
in the
make
story?
any sense.
That's like the first thing you should have to talk about.
I also had a jalapeno kolache. It was
Ooh.
good. Yeah. First time I've had a kolache in forever, too. I've been really slacking. Y'all know how much I love kolaches. What are they called if there's, there's two names?
Yeah, so a kolache.
And a klobastonk?
Klobosnik.
Klobosnik?
A kolache is fruit. Klobosnik is meat.
Yeah, but we don't do that.
We don't.
We just labeled everything the kolache down here. We're just disrespecting all the Polish or whoever invented it.
It's the same thing. We go, oh, Guadalupe Street. Oh, San Jacinto.
Guadalupe.
San Marcos. We don't say anything right down here. Manchac.
Us Texans, man. We are ignorant scum. Today's episode of RBP is also brought to you by Liquid IV. There's no better way to make the rest of 2022 your little baby than by making sure you're feeling like your best self. One goal I have for myself this year, to stay consistent with my ROSFit training. I have been doing that with the help of my favorite hydration product, Liquid IV. One stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water rehydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. I'm holding one in my hand right now. You just tear off the top, pour it into your water, stir it up, and you're good to go. Liquid IV has incredible hydration flavors like watermelon, lemon lime, strawberry, pina colada, and more.
Can I say my favorites?
Yes, please.
I love pina colada. I love strawberry. Sometimes I mix them together, make a Miami Vice.
I've been doing watermelon. I like watermelon a lot, too.
Tangerine with the immune support, I find
yeah.
amazing. It's so good.
That's my immune support go-to right there. Yeah, Tangerine.
They had the Concord grape, which if you're a fan of grape flavor things like grape Jolly Rancher.
It is very good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing with Liquid IV for me, right? The first time I ever drank it, like I'm perpetually dehydrated.
Right.
I've been looking for something for a while, but I was lazy, and so we got them as a sponsor. I was like, ooh, this sounds amazing. I want to try it out. When I drink a Liquid IV, like not the powder, when I mix Liquid IV into water and drink it,
yeah,
like I don't know how to explain it, but you can feel hydrated. Like I feel like my body temperature, like my skin feels like it cools down like 3 degrees, and I can just feel like, oh, I'm hydrated.
No, you feel extremely refreshed.
Yeah,
it's like
crazy.
It really is amazing. And one stick alone, again, hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins, which is part of the reason you end up feeling so refreshed. B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C, with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. That also goes a long way to helping. Made with premium ingredients, non-GMO, free from gluten, dairy, and soy. And it's the science of cellular transport technology, Jared, that you're experiencing. It's designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into the bloodstream so that it's effective. One stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. They're on a mission to change the world. Liquid IV has donated over 19 million servings globally. Grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code ROSS at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use promo code ROSS at liquidiv.com. Experience better hydration today at liquidiv.com, promo code ROSS. So I also went to dinner this weekend.
Who are you?
I don't know, man.
This is fucked up.
It's getting really weird.
I can't remember the last time you did 3 social things total, and you just did 3 in a weekend.
I'm exhausted. Yeah. It's been in the last couple weeks alone, really few weeks since my parents came in, I have seen and spoken with more people than I did in the entire fucking year prior to that. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. That's like an actual social fact for me. So Saturday night, we had a friend's birthday dinner with it was like 3 couples total. And the dinner is one couple I'm meeting for the first time. Okay, I do not know them. And long story short, our Scratcher segment about people playing scratch cards, as they're apparently called in some circles, gets brought up. I'm talking about the lottery tickets at the gas station, people. And so we're like going back and forth. I start ripping scratch-offs and scratchers, and we're all sharing laughs. And then like 5 minutes into this conversation about scratch-offs, one of the dudes is like, yeah, my mom's a scratcher. And I'm like, oh. And I don't even know. I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, because I've been making fun of these. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. And then the other dude is like, yeah, actually, I'm a scratcher. And this is the one I know. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? This is bizarre. And the dude I didn't know goes on to explain two things. One was that I had no idea what you were saying when you were describing people who don't even play the game. They just they scratch off the barcode and hand it straight back to the guy.
It's fucked up,
and
man.
It blew my mind, this dude actually explaining it to me. Like,
wait, he doesn't do that, does he?
No.
Okay.
But he was very familiar with the technique, and apparently it's one his mother utilizes. Because these hardcore scratchers, it's not even about the game. It's like hardcore sports bettors. It's not even about the game. It's just about the math and the money. And so it just absolutely melted everything about my brain that there are people who buy a scratch off, don't play it, scratch the barcode off the top and hand it back to the gas station attendant to be scanned so they can immediately know if they've won or lost, and that's it. And then in the story you were telling me, there are people who do that, win $2, use that $2 to buy another thing, and then keep going and keep going and keep going until the train ride ends, which is so fucking insane. Like, I just had no idea what you were explaining to me. And if I ever see anyone do this, the podcast will be over because I'm going to prison.
It's a sick, fucked up world out there.
It really is. And then number two, to make the world just a little bit sicker, this dude who is a scratcher explains to me like, bro, you don't even know. There is an app, and it's the Texas Lotto app.
Oh, no.
That you can check that tells you how many of the prizes have been redeemed for each different game so that you can more strategically pick which scratchers you're playing because you might have better odds of winning a big prize. Like, it'll tell you there are only 12 $50,000 winners and 8 of them have been claimed. So you know there's only 4 more spots. So maybe you don't pick that scratcher in lieu of one that has 25 $30,000 winners and only 2 of them have been claimed. And I'm like sitting there with my jaw dropped, like, what the fuck are you, dude? You're a monster. He's like, yeah, I use this. Like, and the only reason I even know about it is because of my mom. And he gets into this whole thing about his mom. But this is a legitimate piece of the puzzle that I didn't even know existed, which leads me to wonder how many people are playing scratch-offs that don't even have that information. Like, that are literally at a disadvantage, mathematically and strategically, because they don't have the Texas Lotto app in our state. It won't work in your state if you're in another state. And other people do. Like this dude and his mom. They're just out there fucking hustling for scratchers. And then there's like, the dude who just gets off work and wants to scratch off with his 6-pack, and he's picking the one that 19 of 20 winners have been chosen, and he didn't have a shot in hell.
What a dumb fuck.
Fucking idiot. Imagine being that dumbass.
So I like to make fun of scratchers. Every so often I'll buy one if I happen to have cash on me, which is not that often, but like they're kind of fun, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that they're not fun. It's that if they're like a habitual part of your life, then I don't understand what happened to you along the way.
Can I? Okay.
It's like jacking off to Twitch chicks. Like, there's a better option out there. There's a better form of gambling for you to do.
I have 2 stories.
Okay.
One of them I feel like I should have admitted last time.
I'm glad you're admitting it now. This is a safe place. You can open up, Jared.
I'm not currently a scratcher.
Right.
I haven't purchased one in at this point, probably at least 2 years.
Yeah, but I see you with your hands folded underneath your arms. You're desperately trying not to buy one right now. I don't have any for you to buy, Jared. I don't have a scratch off for you. I know you're tweaking right now.
In high school, my mom and I would like if there was a big test coming up in something, my mom, as a lot of parents do, will like quiz me. Because I always have been a big flashcards guy all throughout college. If I took the amount of flashcards I made throughout college, they would go floor to ceiling in a fucking...
Just a master flasher, huh?
I was a big flasher. Not a scratcher, big flasher. However, back when I was doing flashers in high school, I was a flasher and a scratcher. Okay?
Okay.
So...
You had some problems. Okay.
What we would do is, have you ever heard of it's like a bingo scratch-off ticket?
Yes.
It's the really long one where you get the bingo things up top and you have 4 boards at the bottom. You'll scratch off. It'll be like, oh, B9. You look at your 4 boards. Oh, I have 2 B9s. Da-da-da. You try to get bingo in the cards. My mom and I would study in high school. Every time I'd finish like a segment of my flashcards, I'd get to scratch off like 8 of the fucking numbers. And then I go... And eventually, by the end of the study session, I would have a completely done scratch-off ticket. And that was like my incentive in high school.
To do what? But did you ever win?
I mean, I don't think I ever won more than $20.
And that's the thing about scratcher games that kills me. Like playing a game with no say in the actual outcome because it is entirely predetermined, like fake pro wrestling. But pretending that it's not it's like if I don't get something out of it in the end, I feel like I've been had.
I get what you're saying because like it's the second you buy that ticket, your fate is already determined.
It's done.
The same thing is I don't want to ruin casinos for people. I'm a big casino guy.
Yeah.
You know, my family would go to Thanksgiving in Las Vegas.
I consider casinos to be almost as holy as like a church.
Do you ever play slots? I don't play slots. My whole family loves slots. They're slot sluts.
I can't get in on slots, dude. It's not fun to me.
People who get intimidated by table games, though, love slots. They love to bet money. Even though it's the worst bet in the house, they go, I get too much anxiety at tables. I feed off that anxiety at a table. I fucking love it.
It's amazing.
Sitting down by yourself at a table with strangers, like
it's the best.
I feel like I'm doing coke.
Yeah.
I've never even done coke. I just feel like I'm doing coke.
Well, it's because the risk is the same. You might die.
It's true.
That's what you're like. I don't know how degenerate or psychotic any of these humans are, but I'm going to sit here and play games with currency with them.
So the issue is, for example, I believe I was in Vegas playing a very famous slot machine, Sex and the City slots.
Wow. Okay.
It's a family favorite. And you hit the progressive.
I'm Samantha.
Exactly. You'll hit the progressive, right? Every so if you put $100 in, you'll hit a few progressives.
What are the progressives?
So the progressives, it's a little spinner,
like
right?
A liberal, you're gonna hit the liberals?
No,
you're punching them.
It's a spinner. You know what a progressive is, right?
No.
Oh, a progressive is a jackpot.
The progressive jackpot.
Yes.
You'll hit it every so often. You're saying?
If you put $100 into the Second City slot machine and you sit there and bet $300, odds are you'll get the 3 heels. That's a high heel.
What else is on there?
You get 3. I don't fucking know.
Martini. Definitely a martini.
Definitely. You get 3 high heels, and then it goes jackpot, and then the spinner comes up, right? And you can either land on Carrie, Samantha, Mr. Big, Miranda. Who's the other one?
I don't know. I remember this was like
Beatrice. I don't fucking know.
Sex and the City was like my telltale sign that I was getting a divorce. So I don't pay as much attention to it as others.
Okay. Well, in Vegas, I landed on Carrie. Okay?
Okay.
Carrie is the second best one behind Mr. Big. So, like, if you hit a Carrie, you're up for a potential, like, $500 to $1,200 jackpot.
Okay. I'm looking at pictures of them, of these Sex and the City slot machine variations.
All of these progressives are games where it's like, make sure you pick 3 treasure chests to open, and if you get Miranda's jewelry, you win. Like, that bullshit.
Right.
The thing about all progressive games and all slot machines is, by law, those are all predetermined. The second that I got carry, it didn't matter how I did in the carry game. I was getting whatever amount of money was already set up. So people always go like, shit, which one do I hit? Do I hit the top left one? Do I hit the top right one? And they like have their whole friends around and like, dude, go top right, go top left.
No, go middle.
Literally, it does not matter. By law, it is predetermined already. It's just depressing. I didn't want to ruin that for people, but
wait, so no matter what you press, the same thing is happening?
Once it like determines, I mean, the second I got the progressive,
right,
it is done. It knows I'm getting carry. It knows I'm getting $700. I did win $900.
That's sad. You won $900 off a Sex and the City slot machine?
Yeah.
I watched What We Do in the Shadows last night, and Nandor, arguably the main vampire on the show, was playing a Big Bang Theory slot machine that he got addicted to in Las Vegas. And then when he finally hits a progressive, he yells, Bazinga!
I've played that slot machine.
Oh, my God. Jared, what?
The Willy Wonka one's also a family favorite.
See, I'd sit down at that.
The Game of Thrones one is awesome.
Would also sit down at that. It reminds me of pinball machines, how they get their own themes and shit.
Yeah.
You know? I like that. That element of slot machines I'm into.
My mom is hilarious. My mom, by the way, if you want to hear from my mom, go to patreon.com/RossBolenPodcast, where we interviewed my mom and she revealed all my deepest, darkest secrets.
Do you remember the name of that episode? Just search Jared's mom. It'll pop up.
Yeah. My mom, she'll sit down at a slot machine, and the first thing she does every single time is turn the volume all the way up because she loves the experience of just the loudest. It's so fucking loud. She loves it.
Oh, my God. It is loud.
Okay, here's the second thing I wanted to say after I ruined slot machines for people.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem, but I'm on a road.
Okay.
to something tangential to slot machines, tangential to scratch-off tickets.
What's that?
I've done it 4 times now, ever. Okay, the third and fourth times were last night.
Wow.
I was alone. My fiance works nights, so sometimes I have to go on to the depths of the internet and get my rocks off.
Twitch cam girls and shit. Yeah.
So what I did, I was scrolling TikTok as I want to do sometimes.
Addict.
And TikTok knows, because I do this sometimes. It goes, hey, this fucker loves watching people open packs of cards on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because they know that twice before I have purchased packs of cards on the internet, and then I buy it on a website, and I go back to the TikTok live or the Instagram live, whatever, and they're like, "Oh, Jared just bought a pack. All right, let's open it up." And last night I was scrolling, and they know me so well because I scroll, and usually it's just like NBA, MLB, whatever, and I scroll, and it's a guy opening up F1 packs. I'm like, fuck.
Oh yeah, they got you.
The Topps 2021 hobby boxes dropped like a week ago. The new set of trading cards from for last season. And I was like, fuck. And so I bought it. So I bought a pack, and they opened it, and I was like, ooh, okay. Like, I didn't get any great hits, but like, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, but then it's not tangential to slot machines and scratch-offs to me because you have a physical thing you have purchased now that you get to hold and hate or love.
I get that, and that's why this is all legal. The issue is I'm not doing it with hopes of getting a card I could just buy for $1 on eBay. Like, I'm doing it to try to hit the fucking Lewis Hamilton relic that's worth $2,000.
Right.
That's why I'm doing this. And so after I was like, ooh, okay. So here's how it works, right? Like, one guy had bought a pack before me.
Okay.
And he got shit. So I'm like, okay, that means there's 17 of these 18 packs that could have the relic.
Wait, so are you purchasing from the person who's live?
Yes.
So like they're like, this next pack, who wants to buy it? It's $20, and you can go, me.
So what they do is they have a website, and they go, hey, check out the website, see if there's anything you want, and then in order of what people buy is what they open. So like they did an F1 one, then they did a college football cards one, then they did an NFL one.
And each time as they're opening it, the owner of that pack is watching and seeing what they're going to get.
Yeah, so he'll go,
did they mail it to you after the fact?
Yes, they mail it to you.
That's a pretty cool setup. Okay, I see why this is hooking you in.
It's really, really popular, and I'm way too addicted. I watch it frequently. It's bad. It's bad.
Okay.
It's really
I can
calming.
see you getting flustered here.
It's really calming. It's really calming and easy. Like, if I'm cooking, you have it on, it's like you don't need to pay attention. But if somebody gets a huge hit, you'll know. They'll be freaking out. Now, the cool thing, too, is they'll be like, all right, Jared, you're up. Which pack do you want? They let you pick the pack. So, like, it comes in rows of, like, it's like 4, 4, 4, 4. They're like, okay. I was like, okay, I want top left, 3 down for the first one, and then I went top left, top 1 for the second one.
Okay.
But with each pack that goes away and there's nothing in, it's a better chance that the ones remaining have something great.
Sure. Hypothetically.
And I bought a second pack.
Yeah, but this isn't like the worst degenerate thing that's the thing about this. As you're sitting there and you start to feel shame explaining to your podcast audience this new addiction that you have of buying packs of cards online and then watching other people open them, which is just
like I don't even open them.
Just the most bizarre reason.
But remember this: there's like 160 other people in chat going, "Yo, good luck, J-Bone."
Yeah, but then like at any given, there's also like 100,000 people smoking meth while you're doing that, and you feel bad. And this happens to me a lot with my vices, where I'm like, "Fuck, man, gonna smoke this bowl, huh? Piece of shit." But then I think about it, and I'm like, well, by comparison, I'm great. There are people smoking terrible shit all day long, every day, and this is just me, on nights and weekends now. So you gotta frame it up against something, which is like, think about the people at the slot machines. They don't get to leave with the slot machine or even a piece of it. At least you've got something coming in the mail eventually that you can do stuff with.
And as an F1 fan, like, because the way it works, if anybody who's ever gotten into trading cards knows, like, if you open a pack, odds are the value of that pack is worth less than you paid for it. Right? You need to get one of the great hits. And even if you're like, anytime you open a pack of anything and you go, all right, that wasn't too bad, you've lost money. You know when you've made money on a pack. And neither of these packs did I make money on. I would say, do you want to know how much I paid?
Yeah. For the 2 packs?
Yes.
Okay, how much?
Just so you know, by the way, the F1 cards are trading cards right now are like peaking in price. Like they're really expensive. You cannot go out and like go get a box or a pack of these cards at like a store
because they're just sold out constantly, and people are because of stuff like this.
People like this, there's thousands and thousands of people like this who make either a side hustle or their living.
Right.
And they have these connections at Topps, at Panini, at Donruss or wherever, where they're literally like getting them so you can't go buy them in places.
Right.
And if you are buying it, you're buying it resale from the guy who bought it. You have to have a connection at the card.
Like it's already been marked up multiple times by the time you can get your hands on it.
So I spent $90.
No shit.
For these 2 packs, yes.
I mean, I was talking to our lawyer about like he got a pack or whatever. I saw y'all talking on Twitter about this too.
It kind of inspired me to finally buy. Like, this is me dipping my toes in because I as a big Formula One guy, as everybody knows, Formula Bone. Follow it if you don't. To me, I see it as like a vertical of Formula One and a whole new audience.
Sure.
That I can get in.
No, absolutely.
Right? And I love it.
But this guy was explaining to me that like one of the packs he bought pre-pandemic would now cost like $2,000.
Yeah.
Just for the pack, and that means you could open it and still get shit on.
That was a Topps Dynasty, which it's over $2,000 now. And what that is it's a pack that has 1 card.
What?
Yep. It's called.
So you get 1 Dynasty card.
You get 1 Topps Dynasty card of varying, but I mean, I think he said he didn't get any good ones he opened himself, but I've looked at his cards. He has some good ones.
He has some really good ones. Yeah. He sent me like a set of 3 that he was like, I'm pretty sure this is like $20,000 now, and I was like, Jesus fucking God.
Because one of them was a Max Verstappen. It was like a Max Verstappen Alex Albon 2020, which I mean, I think just the Max part is what's good. And I mean, gotta remember, like, that pack is $2,000 now. That $2,000 could get you a fucking 1-of-1 Lewis Hamilton auto worth like $200,000, or it could get you a Frederick Vasseur, like he's not even like a driver, he's like a guy on the team,
it's
which is
Todd
literally
Benson.
worth $40.
Yeah,
that hurts. It's a complete gamble, and that is why I, as a not gambling addict, but like a gambling connoisseur, am dipping my toes in, and I get this like in my head, like, oh, it's Formula One related, less degenerate.
Yeah, no, I see that. That's how I tied, every time I smoke weed, I'm like, the podcast, it's branding.
And
people think I'm a stoner. Got to smoke pot.
The last thing I'll say, because you can tell I'm like really on a train right now of validating my own desires here.
Sure.
I don't collect anything. You collect shoes. You spend a lot of money on shoes.
I don't collect them like some people. Like to be a collection, it has to be like displayed and kept mint.
And you have to fuck it.
And you have to have sex with it. I haven't done any of those things with my shoes. I wear them. I fuck them up. I keep them clean because I clean them after the fact. But yeah, they're for wearing.
But you do wear. I don't wear the card,
so it still counts as a collection.
It's definitely more understandable to collect shoes.
Well, low key, I have like 50,000 baseball, football, and basketball cards. Because when I was a little kid, my dad bought like these massive boxes, like 2,000 cards each box, and he brought home like 8 of them. And we went through them for like years and years, but now they're in somebody's garage. So,
but yeah, so I intend to. I'm trying to. If you're somebody who has a connection with Topps to get these F1 cards, let me know. I will make it worth your while.
How are you going to make it worth their while? You going to let them take you out back and spank your tight little ass like you let me?
I will. I'm trying to do so on Twitch, for Formula One Twitch, I'm going to do one of these streams where I buy a pack of cards and then open them and like teach people about F1 cards and stuff. It's going to be really fun.
You got to sell them individually as you do it.
I don't know if Twitch lets you do that.
They probably don't.
The people use Instagram, they use TikTok, and they use Whatnot. Have you heard about Whatnot?
That's almost definitely because I think it's illegal to like sell live. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But I haven't heard of Whatnot. What is that?
Whatnot is literally like Twitch for selling cards, essentially. It's an app. It's a really nice app. And you like buy through the app. You instead of going to somebody's website, you'll like go on Whatnot and be like, oh, this guy's got an F1 pack available. I'm going to buy it in the app. He gets notified. Obviously, Whatnot takes a cut, but like it's
I wonder if that's just because so many people were doing it on TikTok that somebody was like, I'm going to make an app that's just for these people with the card stuff.
Guaranteed.
Wild.
And remember, this is a completely live thing.
Right.
Like the only reason there's YouTube videos that do a bunch of views, but those ones are only ones that have good cards in them. Somebody could be streaming for 3 hours, get jack shit, and have gotten thousands and thousands of views because it's the idea that maybe you will be watching the stream
when somebody else hits it big.
It's a massive hit. Yeah, I've seen some big hits.
It's the same reason that gambling Twitch exists, where you'll sit there and watch people gamble And it's the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life, but people fucking love it.
Trainwrecks TV is the guy, dude. He's always got like 50,000 concurrents watching him just play slots.
And it's slots on the computer. It's not he's in a casino with a camera pointed at him. He's playing slots in an online live casino.
In his house.
And then there's 50,000 people watching him just hit it over and over. Slot, 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 slot. I don't know what the verb is.
You showed me this for the first time, and I couldn't believe it. And I've since tuned into him sometimes just to like be like, oh, is this still a thing? Oh, it is.
But you don't even know what's. It's like when you're walking through a casino and you see a craps table that's really live, and you're like, oh, what the fuck? What's going on over here? And if you don't know craps, you have no idea what's happening. If you don't know slot machines and you're watching this dude stream, you're like, I really can't. Like, he's going so fast and doesn't give a shit when he wins. So it's just, you're just like, what the fuck? What is this? It's just like for like an hour, and that's it.
So you'll look at the credit. He'll have like $100,000 in this online casino, and he'll. I watch him burn like $75K in like 10 minutes, but then he hit a big hit because they always kind of even out a little bit.
Just keep going, man. Got to keep going.
Yeah,
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports and general degeneracy and gambling, today's episode of RBP is also brought to you by MyBookie, where they actually have a live online casino where you could go play slots right now if you wanted to. But if you love sports betting, or betting on sports rather, MyBookie is our long-standing sports betting sponsor with a full-blown online casino, live casino as well, so you can actually see the person like dealing you your cards in blackjack, or watch the person drop the roulette ball on the roulette wheel. They've got a sports book with all the live lines and prop bets and futures and shit you could possibly need. MyBookie.ag is the place to be. To get you started, MyBookie is matching all first-time deposits up to $1,000 with promo code RBP. That means double your funds to double your winnings and get all in on the best action at MyBookie. That means if you put in $100 and use the code RBP during your first deposit, they will match that with another $100, and you'll have $200 to play with. Stipulations apply. The back half of the NBA season is upon us. NHL hockey's in full swing. Baseball will hopefully avoid another full-blown lockout. But until the MLB gets their shit together, we'll have to rely on betting basketball and hockey to get our rocks off, Jared, and that's where MyBookie can help. Don't miss out. Double your first deposit up to $1,000 by using promo code RBP. Head to MyBookie today, place your bets, and enjoy all year long. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie using code RBP when you sign up to support the podcast, and let them know we sent you for that 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Stipulations apply. Code RBP at MyBookie.ag. Jared, do you know who Rich Paul is?
Yeah, isn't that the woman with the drag race? Paul's drag race?
That's RuPaul.
Ah, okay.
That's RuPaul. Close, but no cigar. Rich Paul is the now CEO of Clutch Sports Group, which...
Is that Clutch with a K?
Yes.
I have heard of that.
Yeah, they're a huge deal in the sports world now, and it was founded, Clutch Sports Group, by Rich Paul and LeBron James. In 2002... 20 years ago, when Rich Paul was 21 years old, he met LeBron James, who was still in high school at the time, at their hometown airport in Akron, Ohio. Just happened to run into him. And LeBron saw that Rich Paul was wearing this Warren Moon throwback. Shouts to the Houston Oilers, shouts to Warren Moon. And was like, damn, your throwback is cool. And Rich Paul was like, I actually sell these. And long story short, he was trying to get his own throwback business off the ground, had just run into LeBron James, who's very clearly a prominent person in Cleveland, even during high school. It said, here, this is for a little piece from the New York Times. I'll just read it. James, captivated by Paul's Warren Moon throwback jersey, asked where he got it. It turned out that Paul was selling jerseys out the trunk of his car and was going to Atlanta to buy more. So he would go down to Atlanta, buy all these throwback jerseys, drive up to Cleveland, and then sell them at a markup. That was the business. He gave James his connection in Atlanta, and he told him to drop his name for a discount, and then went on his way. Now, they end up developing a relationship, and the point of this segment is that 20 years later, like, he meets LeBron in an airport, sells him a throwback or hooks him up with a guy to get a throwback, and then 20 years later, in 2022, Rich Paul is sitting courtside at NBA All-Star Weekend with his girlfriend, Adele.
He's dating Adele?
He's dating Adele. They've been together for 6 months. There have been engagement rumors. She apparently had a $1 million ring on her engagement finger at one point, and people asked, are you and Rich getting engaged or married now? And she just like laughed it off and said she wasn't going to say, basically.
Wait, so So what happened? So he met him in the airport.
He meets him in the airport. They end up like striking up a friendship, and eventually LeBron asks Rich Paul, like, hey, will you be in my inner circle with like Maverick Carter and one other guy as he's like trying to pick people around to be around him who he thinks will help elevate his career. But yeah, I mean, they represent all like in terms of NBA athletes, Clutch Sports represents Draymond Green, Ben Simmons, J.R. Smith. I don't even know.
All the
Lonzo
stars.
Ball, though, Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. They have a bunch of people. They've got a bunch of NFL athletes as well.
So this chance encounter like changed Rich Paul's life.
Changed his entire...
I guess you could say it changed LeBron's life too, I guess.
Absolutely. No, but in 2003, after the NBA draft, James asked Paul to be a part of his small inner circle alongside James's childhood friends Maverick Carter and Randy Mims. Paul quickly obliged, according to Wikipedia. Later starts working under Leon Rose, does Paul, who had negotiated James's extension with the Cavaliers in 2006 at Creative Artists Agency, otherwise known as CAA. Then in 2012, Rich Paul left Rose and CAA to start his own agency, Clutch Sports Group, and he took LeBron James with him as like his mainstay client, which is a baller move. But basically between 2002, when he met dude in the airport, and 2012, 10 years later, that's the amount of trust he had earned. He took him from CAA and started their own thing, Clutch Sports Group, of course, making LeBron a founder of Clutch Sports Group with him. Then in 2013, Paul enlisted noted longtime agent and attorney Mark Termini to run the NBA contract negotiations for Clutch. By the conclusion of their agreement in 2020, Termini negotiated $1.4 billion in NBA contracts for Clutch Sports clients from 2014 to 2019. And by 2019, Clutch had a roster of 25 clients and brokered over $1 billion in contracts. Later that year, United Talent Agency, which is UTA, asked Rich Paul to run its sports division through a partnership with Clutch, where he expanded the sports clients from 4 to 23. So that's like doing the math here. A little under 8. Maybe 8? 8 times 4 is... 7 times 4 is 28.
Carry the one.
Yeah, whatever. More. Exponential growth, which is what's important here. In 2020, he accepted a position on UTA's board of directors. Paul also expanded its clientele at Clutch to include the National Football League by hiring former player Demarius Bilbo, which is a hilarious name. But so Rich Paul is one of those guys that paying attention to sports over the years. I've heard his name more and more, and then obviously once they launched Clutch Sports Group, that was huge news in the NBA world in particular, and I'm watching the All-Star game over the weekend, and I'm like, one of the people they show is Adele, and right next to him, like arm in arm with, like it's Adele, and on one side of her is Mary J. Blige, and they're in the front row, and the other side of her is her boyfriend, Rich Paul, and I had no idea they were even dating. And that's just an absurd come-up story from hustling throwbacks, driving them from Atlanta, where you had to connect, to Cleveland, where you're from, and ending up at an airport at the same time as high school basketball star LeBron James. They did not grow up together the same way that like Maverick and LeBron did. And then just in time, getting close enough to argue. I mean, he's at what, top 3 most talented, most powerful and wealthy athlete currently in existence, behind like 2 soccer players, Ronaldo and Neymar or something. That's just insane to me. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy story. And now he's dating Adele, which I just didn't even know Adele was dating. Didn't she just get a divorce?
She did, and she wrote an album about it, best-selling, I believe.
They're always best-selling. They're Adele.
Do you think Rich Paul has ever made the joke, dude, I got Adele? Like, dude, you're getting Adele, you know?
He really needs to if he has it. We gotta hit him up and try to sell him that one.
Dude, I'm hitting Adele.
Copyright trademark on that Adele joke from Jared.
Thank you.
Rich. If you want that one, you're gonna have to cut the check.
Is his name Rich?
Rich Paul.
Rich or Richard? Like, is his name Rich like I'm rich? Or is his name Richard and he shortened it?
I can't find any information about his government name outside. It just says Rich Paul everywhere, even on not to be confused with Richard Paul.
His name is Rich.
At the top of Wikipedia. Richard Paul was an American actor who was born in Los Angeles, California. He was able to imitate most American and many foreign dialects. So we should probably cancel him.
Yeah, his name is Rich Paul.
Just Rich.
Which makes me think his name is Paul. and he's a rich guy.
You ever met anyone named Cash? I have.
No.
Not possible to avoid douchebaggery when your parents hit you with that one.
What are the douchiest names? Like a person you've never met who is not a douchebag who had that name.
Cash is up there. They even used that name for Cash McMogelson, who was like an online parody of douchey frat guys way back in the day. Did you ever read Cash McMogelson?
No.
It's good stuff.
What's weird is
predated TFM.
I would think Hayes is a douchey name, but every Hayes I've ever met has been very nice.
Hayes? That one doesn't strike me as that bad.
Tucker?
Tucker's not good. Tucker Max really paved the way for that one.
Tucker Carlson? Tucker Max?
Joffrey? That's a bad one. You don't want that. You don't want that. I can't think of any. Todd is a bad one for me. I've made fun of it a lot, though, and I want to lay off the Todds.
How come I don't know a Keith?
Yeah, because who names their kid Keith?
I don't know. Why would you name your kid?
Can you imagine meeting a newborn and you're like, oh my God, he's so cute. What'd you name him? And they're like, oh, it's Keith.
It's like, no offense.
It's a fucking baby. It can't be named Keith.
We probably have a Keith listening, but like, you have to get it. Like, your name's not good.
Keith. Like, how did Keith? It's not even fun to say. It's a little upsetting. Keith.
Is Kith helping out people named Keith because it's close and it's popular? Kith and Keith?
I think it makes it worse.
What if you're Keith and you were Kith?
Kith and Ken. With Keith.
I'm sorry, Keith. Like, it sucks. So we have to say it, but like, your name's fucked.
Like Keith Richards name another famous person named Keith. Keith Urban. Keith Olbermann.
This is not, it's not the best lineup.
This is not a good list. Number 1 is Keith Richards, and number 2 is Keith Urban. You can just shut it off after that because it gets ugly. But man, I think this is you know how many people have Googled famous Keiths? There's like 15 different websites popping up here at the top. Like, it's very specifically celebrities with the first name Keith. List of famous people named Keith. Notable people named Keith. And it's because Keith spends all of his fucking time Googling around to try to find another notable Keith to make himself feel better about his shitty name.
Okay, there are so many Keiths on this list that I've never heard of. Who are these people?
Keith.
Who's Keith Coogan?
Keith is a better name than Keith.
This is Keith Coogan.
Oh, it's Keith Coogan, dude. You don't know Keith Coogan?
Okay.
It is a sad name. Sorry, Keith, but you can change that. You can do something about that, Keith. If you can bring yourself to do it, to erase your name from the history books. That's a weird thing about changing your name to me. But I might do it one day because like the Google search for me is it's a little bit on the nose.
Well, you have William Bolen, you got Ross Bolen, you got William Ross Bolen.
Yeah, next name I pick, I'm going just first and last, totally new shit.
Both?
Maybe double Keith. Keith. That's how you get follows on Instagram.
That lovey-dovey, Keith.
Wow. That's somebody singing Soulja Boy with a lisp. Wait, isn't that Soulja Boy?
No, it's not. Who's that?
Kiss Me Through the Phone is Soulja Boy. Keith Me Through the Phone. Keith me. Keith me, you dirty, dirty Jared.
Okay, I need to look it up. Lovey-dovey. It's not...
Kiss.
It's not The Joker by Steve Miller Band. Why would that show up? Lovey-dovey all the time is why that showed up.
That is exactly why that showed up. It's Chris Brown.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yo, this is Nappy Boy Radio Live with your boy T-Pain. We love rap music. That's the beginning of that song. Kiss Kiss by Chris Brown. Noted piece of shit.
Yes.
I got a message from a listener named David over the weekend. And David was like, hey, Ross, Call Your Grandparents Month is something that I always look forward to. But I also want to say, call your parents. My mom called me yesterday from the hospital after suffering a stroke, and granted it was a very small stroke and she's all good. It got me thinking, when was the last time I had a conversation with her? And it got me thinking, never end on a bad note in any conversation you're having with someone. Always say you love them, you like them, you're thinking of them, or just say I'm here. And 2 notes on this, on the message from David. 1, yes, you should call your parents. Call Your Grandparents Month is a thing that exists for this podcast and our listenership because oftentimes your grandparents kind of get forgotten in the shuffle And especially during the beginning of the pandemic where literally they were all locked in their fucking apartments and just praying it would end soon because they couldn't go outside because we're all too disgusting and sick to be around. It was an issue that I hoped we could like help address and something that just for me personally, I wanted a reminder to do more often with my own grandparents. But yes, it is equally important, if not more important, that you keep in touch with your parents if you're lucky enough to have both of them or one of them even. It's one of those things where like, especially once you're an adult, you make it out of college and you're just kind of like, fuck you, mom and dad, I don't need you, watch this, I'm going to figure out the world. But like, you're not. And then you only call them when shit hits the fan. And that's fucked up. That's a little toxic, a little codependent or whatever. So eventually when you get to the point of adulthood, like 25, maybe even 30 or whatever, where you're settled in and your life's not just chaos of trying to figure out what the hell you're going to do for a career or blah, 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 you need to kind of work that back into your schedule. Calling mom and dad on occasion. To stay plugged in, because we all in 2022 especially, everybody's got a group text with their family, right? Everybody's got a group text with all their friends, and it becomes way easier to just think, oh, we've checked in, like, you know, we sent each other our Wordle earlier today, but it's like, no, that's not a real check-in. Like, you need to call your mom somewhere before your dinner time and see how her week's going, see how she's doing. Do that with your dad. And so it was a great reminder from David. Also, about his message. I don't know how people do this, where like he's saying, you know, you should never end on a bad note in any conversation you're having with someone. And I always hear that. And I always hate walking away from somebody that I really care about after a bad note. Like if we haven't patched it up and I got to wait till next time and it's like, oh God, what if they get hit by a car between now and then? And that was the end of our entire friendship or relationship or whatever. That sucks. But it's fucking hard because what if somebody kind of shits on you? And then you've got to be like, I don't appreciate how you just took a human feces on me, but I love you. I'm here. I'm thinking of you. I'm angry with you, but I love you. Like, that's impossible for me. I can't do it. I am not good at ending on a positive note after, like, some type of conflict. So, for anyone that's like me, David, with the reminder, try never to end things on a bad note. Don't go to sleep angry, especially. That's a bad one. You can't do that shit. You cannot do that shit. Then you start the next day in the same fucking headspace, and you're off to a rocky start for a whole separate 24-hour window. You got to clean that slate as best you can and try to move forward clean.
Yeah, and so you got to remember this. If you are about to go to sleep angry at your significant other, and they fall asleep, it's like, oh, fuck.
What do I do?
And then you need to stay up until they wake up and then apologize so that you don't go to sleep angry. They went to sleep angry. That's their fault.
That's on
their
them.
problem.
Totally on them. I like to make up with their sleeping body. So like I'll wait for her to fall asleep and then I'll just like whisper in her ear like, I forgive you. Oh, you forgive me too? Oh, okay. We're all good then. I love you. Good night. And then she's the one in shit soup the next day while my conscience is clear because
That's the way to do it.
I took care of things, you know? Took care of things like an adult. Follow us on Instagram at The Ross Bolen Podcast, on TikTok at The Ross Bolen Podcast, where we're over 65,000 followers now, which is awesome. TikTok algorithm knows exactly what it's doing, not just to Jared and his addiction to playing card packs, but to all of us and our addiction to nonstop swiping and consuming content. On Twitter, we are at Ross Bolen Pod because of character limits. As Jared mentioned, if you like F1, go listen to the Formula Bone F1 show. It's available wherever you listen to RBP, hosted by Mr. J Bone.
Me.
New episode dropped last week. Or you don't have one this week, though?
Nope.
Next week is the next episode of the Formula Bone F1 show, so you could use all of this week to get caught up on all the episodes that he's done if you wanted to. Formula Bone F1 show, available wherever you listen to RBP. And then, of course, Jared and I will be back Wednesday with another episode right here, wherever you're listening. And then Friday, I will be back on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. J-Bone will be on vacation this week, but I'll be there on Patreon on Friday, perhaps with a guest host. We'll have to wait and see.
That's exciting.
Is it?
You should go on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast right now in anticipation of potentially there being a guest host.
Wow. Also, you can buy RBP merch or Formula Bone merch or the Bone Zone official t-shirt on bolenmedia.com/shop. The shop just has to be lowercase, and I have to say that every time now or it'll drive me insane. But until next time, Peace be with you, and also with you.